Have you, Mum?
Look how swollen my hand is.
Oh, didn't it?
Bit by an insect.
You should, did you put antiseptic on it in the bathroom?
I'm trying to video this, but got doctors in the background. What are these answers that you seek? Happiness, adventure, serenity, freedom? Are these things really to be found on the far side of the world? Thousands of miles and thousands of pounds away? Or can the answers be found on your very own doorstep? Are you so wrapped up in the breakneck speed of modern life that you're forgetting to breathe? Slow down. Take a step back. Relax. Many years from now, when the strength has left your body and your thoughts begin to wander to your memories, will that trashy TV programme or that day of overtime that at the time you thought was so important, will that even be remembered? Or will you remember that clifftop walk, that spontaneous dip in the ocean, that picnic by the harbour? Do favourite walks or places ever really become boring, repetitive, or tedious? Or isn't it the truth that from each visit we make new memories? Memories that will last a lifetime.
Dolly, Dolly, it's okay, it's a baby. Dolly.
Excuse me, miss, how much did it cost to do the tour?
£20. There's a wee the visitor centre.
Yeah, we'll see about doing it, because I've been meaning to do it for years. I used to come down here as a kid on my BMX, so I thought I want to do it properly now.
Yeah, my granddad used to take us as kids around it all the time. But definitely have a wee look and see
we will
if there's
do.
anything there. Like, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Ta. To the memory of Lance Corporal Walter Newell, 6th Battalion Black Watch, who fell in action in France on the 10th of July 1915, erected by his friends, with whom he spent many happy days at the Gobbins farm, and Captain W.V. Edwards, Royal Dublin Fusiliers, killed in action in Palestine, 28th of December 1917. So every time I come back to my parents, I do try to make an effort of coming down and laying some flowers at this little memorial. And this is actually quite sad. Lance Corporal Walter Newell, he was one of 3 brothers who were killed in the First World War. And he lived locally, so that's only what I found out from reading on Google. If anyone's any more information, you know, I'm happy, please let me know. And below him, you've got Captain W.B. Edwards, who fell in Palestine in 1917. He was with the Royal Dublin Fusiliers, and Billy Edwards is actually quite well known around these parts as a long distance swimmer. I think he was the first guy to swim from here to Bangor in 3 hours or so. So as I said, I always try to make a point of coming and seeing these guys when I'm here. Carrie and I have our birthdays only a few days apart, and we both turned a year older the previous week. The beauty of having close birthdays is that it can lead to some wonderful joint presents. So on this occasion my parents have bought us a night, including dinner, in the Titanic Hotel in Belfast. Whilst taking us up to Belfast, we stopped for a walk around Carrickfergus Harbour. And this place is like a second home to me, having lived in Carrickfergus as a child in the early 1980s. The harbour itself has long ceased to be a commercial port. However, I remember warm summer evenings, eating ice cream and watching the coal ships being unloaded by huge track cranes into the coal yard where trendy restaurants and waterside apartments now stand. The name Carrickfergus originates from the original name of Carrickfergus, meaning the Rock of Fergus. And on this rock sits one of the very finest and well-preserved examples of a Norman castle in the UK. On this occasion the castle was closed. However, Carrie and I have both spent several hours inside, and I highly recommend a visit. Go on then, you decide.
Should we do 7:45 for dinner?
Well, what a random time.
8? Well, what time do you want? You've just told me to do a time.
Yeah, we'll go. Is 8 o'clock all right? Yeah, grand. 7:52. After a coffee and a homemade sausage roll by the harbour, we travelled up to East Belfast and the Titanic Hotel. The hotel is situated next to the Titanic Museum, a museum that offers a fantastic interactive experience that I cannot recommend highly enough. The hotel sits on the bank of the River Lagan at the mouth to Belfast Lough in the east of the city. Now forget everything you've ever heard about Belfast. Having grown up when the so-called Troubles were at their peak, I can honestly say the Belfast of today is a far cry from the Belfast of the 70s and 80s. Visitors to Belfast will be welcomed with the warmest traditional Irish hospitality. But as usual, you won't read or hear about any of this in the mainstream media, as let's face it, good news isn't profitable news. Jack, I want you to draw me like one of your French girls. Oh, get her the heart of the ocean, look.
I know.
This is the exact size of the Titanic, isn't it? When I visit memorials, whether they be military or to remember victims of disasters, I'm always taken aback by the seemingly endless list of names. And in the case of the Titanic, it's easy to lose focus on the real cost of human life and instead get caught up in Hollywood blockbusters, countless documentaries and money-making souvenirs. But we should never ever forget the real story of Titanic, of the many poor souls who lost their lives on that fateful night, including many who had given all they had in the hope of finding a more fulfilling life on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. The Titanic Hotel has been decorated to reflect the early 20th century, similar to the decor that would have been around during the Titanic era. For dinner, we were lucky enough to be seated in the original Chief Draftsman's office from the Harland and Wolff shipyard. This is where disciplinaries were administered and was therefore unofficially known as the Balkan Box. Strangely enough, I felt right at home. So you're officially in the Chief Draftsman's office, also known as the Balkan office.
Yeah.
How does it feel to enter my world? The 3-course meal we had was definitely first class, and most likely not something the passengers in steerage would have been treated to. I really cannot rate the Titanic Hotel and Museum highly enough, and I guarantee you will not be disappointed with either if you choose to visit. The hotel is just a stone's throw from both the George Best City Airport and the Stena Line ferry terminal where we sailed into. If you fly into the Belfast International Airport, then it's only 20 minutes away by bus. Or why not rent a car and take a few days to take in the beautiful scenery and multiple attractions Northern Ireland has to offer. Is Muck Island, and that's actually a bird sanctuary. You're not allowed on it. It is quite small. There is nobody that lives on it, obviously, apart from seabirds. I don't know if the camera will pick it out, but between the island and the mainland, you've got that quite noticeable tide race. And at certain times when the tide's coming in or coming out, that can be quite treacherous, because I do remember when I used to kayak as a teenager with my mate one night, we decided to paddle around Muck Island. We got stuck in that and we're going nowhere for about half an hour. In the end, we actually decided it was safer to turn around and go all the way back around the island and come that way back into Penultimate Harbour behind me over there. First spots for me are coming in, and I have to say, for Northern Ireland, this is pretty good. This is the first spots we've been able to on this trip. I think we've been quite blessed with weather god, so you can't really see it unfortunately, but that coastline up there is the Antrim coast where we took you on the bikes the other day when it was nice and sunny. Just over the headland there, the first one to the left, that's Larne, just across the other side of Larne Loch where the ferry's going. And then we also got Bridge Bay, Carnlough, all the way up to Ballycastle where we turned inland. If you follow that all the way on round, you come to Port Rush, then Port Stewart, etc., all the way up the north coast. And up there you've got the Carrickfergus Rope Bridge, Bushmills Whiskey Distillery, and the Giant's Causeway. Probably well worth a visit if you ever get the chance, and I thoroughly recommend it you do.
Your hand to hold, 'cause you have my heart, and always will. So take my hand, let go of the past, and hold on to.
We'd one day left in Northern Ireland before our journey home. We still had one more ride out planned, and that was the Belfast Harley Davidson dealership. I also wanted to visit my Uncle Stephen and his wife Dorothy. Both the distance and the pandemic had stopped us from visiting for over 2 years, and the catch-up was long overdue. My uncle's house was on the way to the dealership, so we planned to stop for coffee, then head the few miles down the road to Harley Davidson. The weather omens were not good, and our waterproofs were stored within easy reach. Riding in the rain is never a fun experience, but it's never really bothered me that much, and it certainly wouldn't stop me from riding. And the thing is with Northern Ireland, if you stopped every time the rain started, then you'd get nowhere. Hey Tim, alright? Yeah. Oh, I was lucky, the rain only just started when we were a couple of miles away.
Carrie, what's he doing to you?
Actually, not at all, she wants to do it herself.
How are you? You well?
The last time I saw you, you were in crutches. And now
Oh my
look at your
gosh,
own,
I know. Oh my goodness.
What stage are these?
Mine's a 103, so that's a 1690. Would you believe it? And Carrie, she's an 883.
Yeah, mine's a little one. Thank you so much.
Probably get back midnight or 1, but...
Oh, Mark.
That's bone dry in there. I mean, you could leave our things shut if you wanted. I think
You alright, baby?
I think she'd be happier with it open, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
There you go. Curl up.
Oh gosh, why? Why did I marry a biker? Lovely to see you
take it
both.
easy.
Lovely to see you.
Belfast Harley Davidson is actually located on the outskirts of Antrim town, which is probably 20 or 30 miles from Belfast. But then if Southend Airport is allowed to call itself London Southend Airport, then I guess that makes it all okay. This was the first rainfall since Northern Ireland's record-breaking heat wave had began, and as a result the roads quickly turned greasy and afforded limited traction. There's nothing big or clever about taking risks while riding in the wet. And wet weather riding isn't rocket science, it's simply a matter of easing off the throttle and taking much more caution, particularly in the bends and corners. Many years previously, my wise motorcycle instructor was fond of saying, "Ride slower in the rain and you'll stay alive longer to enjoy riding faster in the sun."
So what one's this? Sorry?
It's a Sportster, it's just yours, but it's a...
But it's
Yeah.
Put the pipes in there and take it off. So it's,
lovely bike.
That's what I thought.
You could take that off, put a rack on and set our thing on that.
Let's just think about my... No!
It's not a real person.
It's a dummy. It's a dummy. He does.
Pouch or
No, she's got a box. Do you, it's the cheap one of the Saddleman, or the, is it Kuriakin, is it, that do the Pet Palace? It's a cheaper version.
loves it. He.
She, yeah.
Loves it.
Little girl. Yeah. Yeah, she's only just turning 6 months.
Right.
So this is all new, but we started her off with like some short runs, just up the road.
And then threw her in road up from Essex.
Road from Essex to here. So, but no, she's
Loving it.
yeah, yeah. She puts her head out. She has a checks where I am, checks that he's still riding the bike, and then puts the head back down and goes to sleep.
What sort of bikes are selling much now these days?
The big one, the Minster Pan America.
Is it? Yeah.
And you usually just can't get them for
Yeah.
a amount of time. Got Road Kings sell well.
Did-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. But a wee bit of a run on pre-loved Sportsters, but you can't get them no more.
That's right, because Carrie's got a little 883, and I mean it's 2010. And it's only got 17,000. It's all right, but yeah, she was on about getting some bigger. I says, yeah, that'll you'll be no problem selling that when the time comes. Yeah. Is it real? I thought it was only a model. Is it real? How much?
So take a picture.
They were made just up the road here. Whether by coincidence or design, the DeLorean that was on display in Harley Davidson Belfast was most likely assembled only a few miles away in Dunmurry, just outside of Belfast, where during the early 1980s approximately 9,000 DeLorean cars were produced. They were the days before John DeLorean tried to buy 27 kilos of cocaine from undercover FBI agents. Although, it's only fair to point out that John DeLorean was actually acquitted of all charges. Who knows? Maybe if it weren't for all the controversy surrounding the DeLorean Motor Company, Doc Brown may well have chosen a different plutonium-fueled car that did strange things when it hit 88 miles per hour. And in case you were wondering, the guy who was taking the used Sportster with a Stage 1 kit for a test ride decided to buy the bike and was in the middle of completing the paperwork as we left the dealership. And I wish him many happy miles on his new machine. Yep, go on, say it. I should have put my waterproofs on before I left. We've all done it before and we'll all do it again. The thing with riding in the rain is it only takes a few minutes before you're soaked to the skin. And if you've nowhere safe to pull over when the rain starts, then you just got to accept that you're going to get wet. We'd an early start the following morning to get the ferry from Belfast, so we took the opportunity to fuel up. By the time we got back to my parents, both Carrie and I were drenched. Dolly, on the other hand, apart from one wet ear, where she had lay with her head against an open air vent, was bone dry, and it's testament to the quality of her travelling box. That evening, we had a pleasant meal with my parents before an early night in preparation for our long journey the following day.